Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to the alpha for Warhammer 40k Dark Heresy. As today, bird is the word. We welcome our new recruit, Drakiith. Took a bit more work to get her unlocked than it did Cog, though still a very welcome addition. I'm curious to see how she does both on and off the battlefield, since just having a recruit in our investigation crew does theoretically unlock some interesting possibilities. As far as combat goes, she is apparently a precise attack specialist, so while her stats do seem slightly subpar, she actually enjoys several bonuses when specifically making long-range precision strikes. Though that is also somewhat offset by her interesting pet mechanics. Yuka, specifically, who can either be used to attack nearby enemies, or to provide party-wide stacking bonuses, if you have it instead scavenge nearby corpses, which I do think we're going to lean somewhat into, given that it is a fairly unique mechanic. So, as far as her level ups go, while she does have several interesting options, we'll have her focus specifically on precision shooting, so precise aim. That can stack on top of her other toggleable action, Ruthless Strike, though it does make it very expensive. This specifically adds extra stacks of exploit to every attack. And then for her talent, we're going to lean into Yuka with Free Hunting. That lets Yuka go semi-independent with a free attack at the beginning of every one of Drakiith's turns. Also stacking a little extra exploit there, so that's nice. Then for her next level up, we get another talent, which we will put towards Recroot Skyway Vengeance. That adds an instant kill chaser to Yuka's attacks. I mean, not likely to trigger very often, but still. Between her free attack plus one potential triggered per round, that might make a good mook mulcher. And then we get an extra ability upgrade, which we will put towards Ruthless Tactics 3. That's about as close as we can get to the Uncanny Sight talent from Rogue Trader, which I considered back there to be a go-to for every one of our operatives. It essentially granted extra exploit for every enemy on the battlefield every round, whereas this one's obviously slightly more limited, but still a welcome get, since, as far as I can tell, there's not a lot of other ways to actually add exploit to targets. Unless I'm missing something, it looks like there's no longer a basic Analyze Enemies ability. As far as gear goes, I did pick up a couple more items. I grabbed the Recroot Huntress Cloak, which is a flat +5 ballistics and perception, and the Auto-Aim Gloves, which is a nice accuracy bump for long-range precision strikes. And I will note, an interesting observation here is that apparently, unlike in Rogue Trader, you can only enjoy a stat bump from one item at a time now, because otherwise we would actually have a perception of 58 between the Recroot Huntress Cloak and the Honored of the Vein. But instead, in this case, because they no longer stack, we only get the higher of the two. Not a huge deal, but definitely something to note, at least when it comes to overlapping gear. So yeah, as far as combat goes, that's basically her thing. She is a long-range heavy hitter with precision attacks, especially the way we built her, though she also gets the Yuka stuff, so I'm looking forward to that giving her a bit more versatility in a fray. Anyway, let's get back to it. Starting with the big thing we missed. You know, I had all these theories about what had happened to the worker based on what we were finding with the recruit, but it turns out it was a whole lot simpler than I was making it out to be. We had simply missed this. Apparently, everything was gated behind talking to this one NPC, whom we did not talk to the first time through, because as soon as we got close, the feral fight triggered. Gotta say, the first time I think I've seen something that I'd really consider a bad design decision in the current alpha. Hopefully something they fix for the full launch. A man in a bulky diving suit stares, crushed at the spilled black slurry. As you approach, he pales as if he has seen death itself. I'll make good for it. Please, please, don't kill me, Master. I've got 2 children. Sorry? I don't know who you think I am, but I was just passing through. Do you need help? The diver looks at you in disbelief, then loosens up a fraction. Right. You're too clean looking to be from around here. I mean, kind of, I guess. I did just spend a day in the swamp, but, have you, hey, just on an off chance here, have you seen anyone else like me? Unusually clean, walking around? Obvious outsiders? Plenty of folks pass through here. 3 times in the last days, whole groups came through. Just recently, a crowd went by in that direction, toward the upper town. They often hold executions there. And about 15 people ran that way, toward the houses, though that was a while ago. And some headed for the water. Quite a few. None but us divers go there willingly. Only hermits and those the flock's driven half mad. The hermits linger there until the end. The others throw themselves off the shore into the sea. I heard a crowd of poor souls went to meet the sea not long ago, stepping off the shore. I didn't witness it. I was below hauling up this cursed stuff. The diver glances at you, then at the spilled black ooze, and sighs deeply. Well then, thanks for sparing me. I'll be off. Time to dive again soon. To make up for what's been spilled. Sure, yeah, good luck. And just like that, we've got new tracks. And yeah, like, it's not the end of the world, but I do feel like it was a bad idea to gate everything behind that guy. We should have been able to potentially find the tracks without him. But if they do want to keep it gated behind that narrative info, because he did give us some interesting tidbits, he should really talk to us automatically when we walk by. You should not have to manually click him. Aluminum tattoos and the traces of numerous wounds are visible on the body. It looks like the unfortunate man was beaten to death by an entire throng. Sure. So a dead carver beaten to death. Hard to say if that's the work of disgruntled divers or perhaps the ferals that were here the first time we passed through. And trail lost. Additional visual scanning of the vicinity is advised. Right. Let's have a look around. The corpse of a worker without a service number. This is definitely not one of Millicentilia's workers. Okay. How about... Oh, there we go. There's something. Another corpse. The corpse of an old man showing signs of mutation. His fingers have fused into fins, and a frilly crest protrudes along the nape of his neck. Oh, and a peony just spotted something. Right down here, near the pile of bullet-riddled corpses we have passed several times before. That's also where we confronted Deacon What's-His-Face. The footprints end at the shore. There is something slimy in the murky water. Yielding to your efforts, swollen, dehumanized corpses slide up into view. The heavy reek of death strikes your nose and soaks into the fabric of your clothes. The condition of the bodies indicates prolonged immersion in water. There are traces of local fauna evident in multiple bite wounds and loss of soft tissue. Fingers are absent, the abdominal organs are absent. Note that the bodies have decomposed far less than would be expected under these conditions. Make a note to take samples of the local water. It displays pronounced embalming and preservative properties. The corpses, badly eaten away by fish, are wearing sturdy uniforms and boots that match exactly those issued to the workers of the excavation. And there we go. The fabric clings to the slick corpses and tears away with a sickening, sucking sound. Their pale, water-swollen skin has puckered so much that identifying anyone is impossible. Note the water's unusual impact upon the epidermis. Maceration, that is, wrinkling and peeling of the skin, typically affects only a drowning victim's hands and feet. In this case, though, the entire body is oedematous and almost liquefied by toxins in the seawater. This, regrettably, greatly hinders identification. It suggests someone knew of these properties and deliberately deposited the bodies here. You can detect no markings left by millicentilia. Then again, the drowned body's skin is so ravaged that this is unsurprising. You are almost convinced these people are not linked to the excavation. But it should be confirmed, beyond a doubt. Yes, so they are going full Divinity Original Sin with the cannibalistic clue gathering. That's fun, I like that. Honestly, almost makes up for being dead-ended so long on this side of the investigation, just so we can now experiment with stuff like this. Rakti, I hesitate to ask, but do you think you could, you know... The Kroot shakes her head, quills rustling. No, Hunter. The sea has already taken whatever it could from their flesh. Ah. Disappointing, but also fair. The drowning site is secluded, yet it remains fairly visible from the nearest islets. Their inhabitants may well have seen something. The wrinkled, wretched bodies lie exposed along the shoreline. Okay, so obviously that's a pretty major clue. Constructive feedback? I don't think they should have choke pointed it with the diver back there. That diver should have talked to us automatically, but even if they didn't, we should have been able to discover this just when we went down there to talk with Deacon What's-His-Face, because he was praying over a mysterious set of bodies which were riddled with bullet wounds. You know, that alone should have been enough to prompt us to investigate the body dump. Again, this is an alpha, so I'm going to cut them some slack. I don't think it's that big a deal right now. But it is something I feel needs a bit of work for the final launch. You should never have a single failure point holding up the entire investigation. At least not without your journal being more specific about exactly what you need to do, like talk to nearby witnesses. May the God Emperor bless you, honorable master. How can rotten fish help you? Well, there's some fishy business afoot, and I was hoping you could help me. Those bodies in the water, the ones with the uniforms. Her old face grows somber, and suddenly becomes small and pitiful. The fish saw it, good master. The sea gnaws at our neighbors' bodies. The carvers brought them, poked them in the back with weapons, forced them to jump into the water. Their clothes were foreign and fine, but they were still our kind. Why would the Baron do this to his own people? That is an excellent question. One which I think I'll go ask the Baron himself. Thanks, Fish. As ever, your service is appreciated. And now we have something to go talk to the Baron about. Oh, let's talk to Calby while we're here. Oh, the woman stops polishing the suit and nods briefly, looking up at you. Then looks behind you, and her face goes blank. Slowly, as if afraid of spooking the prey, she pulls out her weapon. Why is that beak face here? It better not move or we'll feed it to the fishes. I am no longer of the tick vein, she who smells of the sea. Now I eat what I want. Your strands are strong, but there is no need to consume them yet. I will not hurt you. Calby shifts her furious and fearful glare to you. So this creature is with you? Then keep an eye on it. One wrong move and, well, just give me a reason. Right, yeah, I guess I should have probably anticipated that sort of reaction. Looks like there's nothing else new, but still interesting. I am curious why we can't ask about the dead ganger. Like, what was the point of highlighting that if there's no follow-up? Though we might have a clue for it, so I guess we should check that. Let's have a quick peek. Okay, we've got a couple. Drowned workers. Bloated bodies dressed in good quality work uniforms washed up on one of the coastal islands. Due to the severe damage to the flesh on the bodies, it was not possible to locate the identifying marks of Inquisitor Millis Antilia. The Baron's gang forced a dozen well-dressed people to jump into the sea. And workers' footprints. The work boot tracks left on the dusty ground lead toward the elevator. And ultimately to where the workers drowned. Alright. And then an immediately contradicted conclusion. Ursamus convinced them to drown themselves. Which obviously we know isn't true because the one witness explicitly saw the Baron's men force them to do it at gunpoint. So yeah, nothing about the random dead loomer we found in the corner. No reaction from Calby. Honestly, I did see that guy the first time we passed through, back when we fought the Ferals. I just assumed he was an early casualty of that conflict before we had arrived. Which, might still be the case, but it does seem peculiar there was a gated perception check on it that required us to talk to that diver first. Also, in retrospect, there was something else, too, when we first came through here. The guards over here, Rust and Claw, who very distinctly have names, were discussing keeping something secret from the Baron. They were worried about being found out. That does make me wonder if perhaps that plays into this as well, like the Baron's men did something without his permission. So, perhaps the Baron is in fact technically innocent, and it was just a few of his men going rogue. But I imagine we'll find out shortly. We'll see what he has to say. Though we will also be sure to canvass the area on approach. We do now have a higher alertness with Ra'akti in the party. While I didn't include it in the episode, just canvassing the area turned up a few random bits of vendor trash that Larthier had apparently missed our first time through. So we might find new stuff here as well. Though it is looking pretty clear thus far. Oh, wait, did we never figure this out? Oh, wow, no, okay. I mean, if it's trapped, we clearly never even went in there. Interesting. Right. Oh, geez, okay. Right, we're fine. And trap cleared. The walls of the empty socket have fresh marks left by a lever. A lever? Oh, okay, well hold on. I think I know what this is. There was actually a thing we passed before. I was puzzling over, but I never figured out what it was for. Which is that right there. There's a still there, which for some reason we could steal. Oop. I saw everything, Upper Hiver. I'll have to report it to the Baron. The bandit who addressed you is trembling violently. A shiver he tries in vain to curb by clutching his forearms. Webs of burst blood vessels fill the whites of his eyes. A sure sign of lack of sleep. But you can trade my silence for some Gergesum. Just an injector. I want to sleep so badly, but I can't let myself. The peony's face twists with disdain. Here we see the most classic example of an advanced stage of addiction, as evidenced by its physiological symptoms. I am opposed to disposal of human resources, but sometimes. So this Gergesum, it'll help you with your sleep problem? The bandit looks at you anxiously. It'll help me not sleep, Upper Hiver. If I do, the nightmares. I can't let myself sleep. I mean, you can clearly see I'm not a local. Why ask me and not someone else? How much Gergesum do you think I have? He gives you a bitter smile. I've already traded everything I had for it. You're not suggesting I steal from the Baron, are you? Alright, well, I mean, I guess you're in luck. I do, in fact, have some Gergesum. So, knock yourself out. Or don't, since that's obviously not what you're going for. He snatches the injector from your hands with unexpected speed, and forgets about your existence. Yeah, have fun, I guess. And I will take this. The thing some people do for a little leverage. Hopefully worth our while, though it's not like we've really had much else to do with Gergesum. We can't use it, so might as well just hand it out, I suppose. A singular chest. Oh, a trapped chest. Sorrow? Thank you. Ooh, okay. Pyro armor. The wearer's plasma and melta-weapons inflict plus perception and intelligence divided by 2% more damage. Okay, interesting. And dress gloves, plus 5 fellowship. Plus a gilded low kit, that's just vendor trash, but yes, that actually is stuff that we can use. Especially the gloves, since we're not currently rocking a pair. That's an extra 5% on all of our social skills. As for the armor, that is a slightly tougher sell. We do technically have plasma and melta-weapons in our current arsenal. I'm just not sure it's worth swapping out our current gear. Unbreakable's got higher armor, plus more focus on melee and start of turn defense. She only gets the bonus if she starts adjacent. But I actually did not give her the melee talent, so that's kind of wasted on her. In which case, you know what? That might. Yeah, all right. Let's toss the pyro armor to a peony. And we'll pass the Unbreakable to Seymore, who is otherwise wearing high-end but generic armor. Very nice. And on we go. Let's see if there's anything else that catches our eye. Though I think we already cleared most of the rest of the approach here. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's chat up the Baron. apply some peer pressure. Also, no sign of Maul, poor guy. Guess he's still in that cage. But, you know, we tried. Can't win 'em all. The Baron takes a deep drag when he sees you. And again, that radiant visage of an upper Ivor. To what do I owe the pleasure? Well, Baron, I came across a few things in the course of my investigation, and I thought it might be a good idea to, get your thoughts on them. The Baron chews patiently on his glow stick. Brass tacks, Baron. The man I'm looking for is an agent of the Golden Throne, and I did find him. Dismembered in the swamps. You pretty famously dismember your enemies, don't you? For the throne's sake, Upper Ivor. So maybe there was a dodgy-looking type hanging around here, always with his hood pulled down over his face. He never gave his name, and I never asked. He had strange questions about how the Gergesum was affecting humans and Xenos. He paid a decent price for the answers. That's all I know. Spitting nervously on the floor, the Baron bites out through his teeth. And no, Upper Ivor, I've got nothing to do with nothing. But who's going to believe me, right? Certainly not you. I don't know. I am actually prone to believe that you had nothing to do with Agent Scragg's death, but I am curious why Rotten Fish told me that she saw your men drowning a bunch of people dressed like excavation workers. You know, the ones that I came down here looking for in the first place. Scragg was supposed to help me find them. For throne's sake. The sea toxins have finally eaten the old girl's brain. Right. What do you expect from a blind hag like her? She couldn't tell the difference between a fish and a boot even under a spotlight. She's got things all mixed up. Is that so? Well, this is your chance to set the record straight, if you'd care to do so. You've certainly got my attention. The Baron huffs a nervous laugh. Loose tongues lead to the grave. I have no clue what you'll do with what I tell you. Maybe if you gave me a solid reason instead of empty words, or maybe if you'd come here to help instead of making demands. Oh, okay. I mean, we could get some leverage by flashing our badge, but that would also potentially close off other avenues. I hear you. No reason this has to be a one-way street. Tell me what you need. Perhaps we can help each other out. Not me. I'm not that selfish. Merisportin needs help, Upper Ivor. I can take care of myself just fine, but this forgotten town will fall apart unless someone steps in. What's incredible is that the locals are still holding on. We're having tech problems. In every sense. We've seen servo skulls snooping around more than once. We've seen red robes. The tech priests are gutting Merisportum. They're not even waiting for us to die on our own. They did something to the machine spirits of the generators that power the ventilation systems, and now they're not working. The emergency generator is what's keeping us alive, but it won't last long either. And if we don't have air, Upper Ivor, you can guess what kind of slow and nasty death is in store for all of us here. I'm not harboring any illusions about your abilities. There's no fixing the disassembled generators. But if you can get the emergency generator next to the drainage main to work at least at half power, then we'll talk. Or even better, get the tech priests and their skull spies to back off. The Baron looks back at you. But you don't have much chance of that, even if you are an Upper Ivor. Maybe you can at least get a generator part out of them. They store stolen goods somewhere in the swamps. You know what? I think I can do that. I do actually have an in. But I should also say, You really should offer something as a gesture of good faith. Because, based on what I'm seeing so far, things aren't looking good for you. You might have connections in the spires, but so do I. And I can guarantee that mine are better. Oh? The Baron sucks on his low stick, watching you with lively interest. Yeah, take for example the crates of supplies stolen from the excavation site, the ones you said you had nothing to do with. If that's the case, then why did I find them inside your storage warehouse? I'd love to hear your explanation for that. The Baron chokes on his smoke. Those bloody stupid bastards. They must have brought it in without my say-so. I'll handle it. He gives some kind of signal to his gang, and an agitated hum rises in the carver's den. Two wretches exchange an anxious look as they come to stand before you and the Baron, who is viciously chewing on the end of his low stick. The heavy-set woman with webbed fingers on her left hand elbows the man in his side. It's the two guards, the ones that we saw conspiring previously. Okay, so they do play into it. That's fun. The man with a patchy ginger beard smiles acidly. Boss, what's going on? You got a job for us? If you need us to knife somebody. The Baron's lips spread across his face in a detestable smirk. My guest from on high has just asked a question. And it's a fair question, I'd say. How did supplies from the excavation site wind up in my warehouse, I'd also like to know why you spawn of Groxes decided to shit all over my order to touch nothing over there. Oh. He sounds awfully mad, and you've seen what he can do when he's mad. Baron, you're a measly worm under the feet of penitents who really care about Merisportum. Rust and me saw through you a long time ago. We wanted to leave, but Confessor Ursimus, he wouldn't have us, because we were tainted by your lies, as black and sticky as damned Gergesum. But we kept the faith. We kept listening to Confessor Ursimus' sermons, on the streets, unnoticed. The Confessor told the flock not to go to the excavation site. He said the upper hivers would soon start looking for someone to blame. So me and Rust figured if we could plant those supplies in your warehouse, the upper hivers would get you, and Ursimus would take us into the flock in thanks for getting rid of a pustule like you. But now you and the upper hiver are working together. You damn bootlicker. Shut up, Claw. Just shut. Oh, really thought he was about to get shot. So, the mystery of the vanishing supplies has been solved, Upper Ivor. These scum who betrayed their leader turned out to be another lot of idiots who've had their brains addled by the flock's teachings. The Baron sighs wearily and lights up another low stick. Enjoy the show? That's how it goes around here. You know, there were an awful lot of flock symbols all over the excavation site. But Ursimus and now his followers here say that they were ordered to leave it be. Any idea where those might have come from? The Baron cannot maintain eye contact. You want to trust the word of the bastards who are trying to drown Merisportum in the blood of its own people? You shouldn't. I mean, on that, I think we can agree, but that doesn't answer my question. I also found a servo skull there. Smashed and left as if to incriminate the local tech priests. You've got a bit of a grudge against the local tech priests, don't you? And against the flock, for that matter. Does make one think. The Baron says nothing for a few seconds, pursing his lips. I've not got a clue what you're on about. He falls silent and leans back in his chair, taking several drags and exhaling plumes of smoke. His silence is one of grim focus. His gaze is fixed on a single point, and his furrowed brow reveals the mental effort of his current ponderings. At last, as though having decided something, he smiles crookedly. You win. I'm tired of this back and forth. Let's get it all out in the open, Upper-Iver. Ask me what you want. Okay, then I'll ask you point blank. Do you know what happened to the workers from the excavation site? No, no one knows. You hear that drill wherever you go in Marisportum, but one day there was just nothing. I sent people out there to find out what had happened. They just disappeared, dumped all their valuable gear, tools, weapons. Just when we started looking around, the freaks from the swamp arrived. It was like they'd been sent there on purpose. We didn't have a chance to even say a word to them before they were on us. I've got to say, my lot gave those bastards a good hiding. And the Feiseline. I saw the crates in your storage. The explosives in there too? Of course I have it. I couldn't leave it just sitting there for anyone to grab. What if the things from the swamp had got to it first? Or worse, the flock? Or those scumbags from the ferals? No, better to lock it up safe and sound. You want it? Take it. I got no use for Feiseline. The Baron's smile is both obsequious and mocking. Okay, so you did in fact loot the excavation site. You just ordered your men to leave the crates behind so as not to incriminate yourselves. Which these two, of course, ignored, since they wanted you to get caught. Us? Looting? Never. By the throne, The Baron frowns, then suddenly leans forward, closer to you. I was saving our hides, can't you see, Upper-Iver? First, someone from the Spires has a small army of assistants vanish without a trace in Marisportum. And then they find footprints from those damned bog beasts everywhere. The owners of the excavation site wouldn't care who's at fault. They'd just burn us all. That's why I took precautions. I made it look like Ursimus's followers did it. Hid the traces of the beak-faced bastards. Had my people paint flock symbols all over the dig site. And I also drowned a few traders in the sea, disguising them as workers. 2 Groxes with 1 shot. I reckon that no matter who came to investigate, they'd probably check out the site before just burning all of us indiscriminately, and that they'd spot at least one of the false trails I'd left. Who could have guessed they'd send somebody with actual brains? The Baron chuckles humorlessly. I knew we'd get the blame for it, so I took steps to protect us. I caused some chaos. But the truth is that me and mine didn't touch any workers from the excavation. I value my life. If you ask me, it's all the flock's doing. Wouldn't surprise me if they really had confused the minds of those poor sods, and then... That's a good story, Baron. But you realize you've already lied to me several times, so why should I start believing you now? I'll need more than just your word. You don't believe me? Well then, maybe you'll believe one of the flock. The Baron grins. Runaways go in both directions. There is one lad. Couldn't stomach the beatings and the bans the flock loved so much. He came to me and, in exchange for my help, he told me a whole lot of interesting things. Like exactly how to frame Ursimus, and how to get around the security traps at the excavation site. Funny kid, eh? Knowing things that only someone who set up the excavation could have known. The Baron shoots you a pointed look. He hides out in one of the huts on the cliffs. Comes out every few days, meets my people near the hawker's place, and takes supplies and Gurgesum. If you hurry, you might catch him there today. Well, let's hope I do, because otherwise I'm coming right back here. Alright, Baron. For the record, point blank, The people disappearing around Merisportum. You have nothing to do with that. Yes or no? No. The only people I disappear are my own. If they overstep, if they steal Gergesum, if they get too cozy with the flock. I've got names and witnesses for all the people I've disappeared, and some of these disappearances happen very publicly as a warning to the rest. See those ones up there, hanging from the ceiling? But the disappearances among the ordinary folk, I've had no hand in those. Okay, I believe you. And the bog beasts. They're Xenos, the kind you can put up with if they stay out of the way and out of sight. They came through the tunnels from another ab zone after the first seaquake, and they thought they could do as they liked. Started eating whoever they came across. But they liked divers the best. My carvers had to put them in their place. They drove the scum further out into the marshes. My people don't go near them these days, on my orders. There's nothing out there anyway, except for those Xenos and the ferals. But why are you asking me? You've got your own thing from the swamp. It can tell you all about them. Ra'akti nods steadily without taking her intent gaze off the Baron. Lonai speaks true. Those of my blood were taken by hunger, and we lost our vigilance. But that is a fallen leaf now. So that's it? You just drove them off and that was that? Nothing else? You're sure about that? The freaks didn't have much choice. My people nearly wiped them out. But while we were busy with them, the ferals went crazy and started walking around Merisportum like they owned the place. We had to choose between killing the swamp creatures or losing the town. I picked the third option. Their leader came crawling to me to offer a pact, a truce, and I agreed. I gave them permission to live in the swamps and eat the ferals. I've got to say, they've done well. There's hardly any ferals left. And in return, they promised to stay out of my town. The Baron's face darkens. They broke their word. The bastards violated the truce when they attacked my people at the excavation site. Do you believe in coincidences, Upper Ivor? I don't. A lot of good fighters have gone missing lately. I'm sure those creatures are hunting them down on purpose. No matter. I'll make them pay for it. The tick vein has grown stronger, Lonai. You will not defeat them so easily this time. But this is no longer my war. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about them going after your people anymore. Not unless you go after them. One last question. Which nobles is it that you're working with exactly? Who knows, maybe we share a patron. The Baron gives you a wry smile. Tough luck, Upper Ivor. I don't do well under pressure. You know, my mind just goes blank. Fair enough. Honestly, pretty sure that's outside the scope of what we're doing here anyway, but we'll maybe talk about that again later. Once I've taken care of a few things. Baron? The Baron nods silently, inhaling the stinking smoke. And I think we're done? Yes, okay. So aside from just straight up killing him or insulting him, which I imagine would also probably pick a fight. Yeah, we're pretty much done here for now. At least until we go and see if we can resolve his issue with the tech priests. Which we will do, because, I mean, as scummy as he is, you know, he's obviously a connected crime lord. He is basically keeping this place alive, or at least on life support. Granted, that's largely self-serving on his part, since obviously he wouldn't be in a position of power if everyone here died, but you know, he's still keeping them alive, so that's certainly something. So yeah, we'll pop out to the swamp later and have a chat with the Iron Tree. I'm sure we can come to an arrangement. Oh boy, okay. Lots of clues here. Including one for Scrag. The Baron believes that the bog beasts are deliberately exterminating his gang. Well, he's not wrong. I wish we could have asked him about the leader that came to visit him. That would have been a great place for them to insert that he noticed the Flesh Shaper was wounded. Man, that's still driving me crazy. We never did get that confirmed. And for our actual missing persons case, we've got... Oh, that's a conclusion, okay. Workers' footprints. The Baron was attempting to weaken the influence of the Flock of Repentance and eliminate the traitors in a single move. The Baron drowned them in the sea, dressed as Inquisition workers, imitating a method of self-castigation common among the locals. Drowned workers. Same thing. The bog beasts attacked the Baron's gang at the excavation site. Violating the non-aggression pact by attacking and devouring the Baron's men. The Baron is not afraid to resort to brutal methods to maintain order in the Hab Zone. Yes, I feel like that's pretty well established. We'll go ahead and lock that in. Which does not lead to additional conclusions. And the bog beasts who have been terrorizing the settlement violated the non-aggression pact and attacked the Baron's gang. Afterwards, they targeted civilians. No, I don't think we've got any evidence of that. I mean, the first part, yes. The second part, no. So not really as nuanced as the Rekroot side of things with Agent Scrag. On this side, the main point of confusion was basically the double cover-up. The two sides both trying to frame each other. But I do think that ultimately all signs are kind of pointing towards Ursimus and his flock. Especially given that we've got this other seemingly unrelated branch over here about the Night Lord's campaign of terror. And we did find several dead members of the flock in there. You know, much like the serial killer that we found there, also dead. Confessor Ursimus might be following a similar course. Essentially inspired by his encounter with the Night Lords to try to carry on their work in his own fashion. But, you know, we'll see what the fellow that the Baron pointed us towards has to say. That'll be a very interesting conversation, given that they are both a former member of the flock, and, based on what the Baron told us, a potential former laborer at Millicentilia's camp as well. But I guess we'll see. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, and we will pick up here next time for a study in bad faith. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Arrow Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Rowan Church, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus TG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.